Good morning, ma'am. How are you employed?
I'm an associate medical examiner for Waukesha County.
And how long have you held that position?
About 10 years and 5 months.
Okay. Before your testimony here today, did you provide us with a copy of your curriculum vitae?
I did.
And does that truly and accurately represent your education and professional experiences and training?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to please display for the witness Exhibit 61. If there's no objection to that, can we put it up, Mr. Wolf? The CV.
No objection.
All right, no objection. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so we're not going to go through this whole document because I believe it's a little bit lengthy, but if you could just explain to the jury your education and background. If we need to refer to portions of the document, we certainly can.
I completed college and medical school at Creighton University in Nebraska. I graduated with an MD in 2003. And then I completed a residency, which is training in pathology, which is the study of disease and injury. Then I completed a fellowship, which is a year of specialized training in forensic pathology, which is how disease and injury cause death. I practiced in South Carolina as a medical examiner or forensic pathologist for about a year prior to completing an additional fellowship in pediatric pathology. Then I worked as a pediatric pathologist for about 5 years prior to re-entering forensic medicine by coming to Waukesha County.
And if you could just scroll down on page 1 a little bit, please, your certifications and licensing, these are all still current to date?
Yes,
Okay. And are you board certified?
I am.
In what field?
Anatomic and clinical pathology, forensic pathology, and pediatric pathology.
And you have held those certifications for some length of time?
Yes.
What are your main duties and responsibilities as a associate medical examiner?
My main duty is to determine cause and manner of death. And in so doing that, I perform autopsies and external examinations. Sometimes in the course of an examination, I might need to review medical records, perform laboratory tests like toxicology, do an autopsy, which is external and internal examination, microscopic examination, review of police records, and whatever additional information might be necessary in order to determine cause and manner of death. I do some teaching and testify in court.
About how many times have you testified in court?
Probably at least 50.
Are you, or, well, there's another doctor that works in the medical examiner's office, correct?
Yes.
Are one of you doctors asked to review every death in Waukesha County?
Not every death. Those deaths that are reported to our office, sometimes by facilities like nursing homes or assisted livings, hospitals, any scene death, which is a death at home, we do review or investigate any deaths that are reported to us.
Are you sometimes notified by law enforcement?
Yes.
And those would, again, be, well, in what circumstance would law enforcement notify you?
Law enforcement notifies us sometimes when it's a home death, sometimes when it's some type of violent death, meaning a motor vehicle accident. Sometimes we're notified by law enforcement when there's been any kind of injury like hanging or a gunshot wound. And in anything that's suspicious, law enforcement will call us.
And in addition to the medical doctors that work in the office, you have investigators?
Yes.
And what's their role?
Our deputy medical examiners or investigators generally are those people who initially take the call. So they might talk to law enforcement or the reporting facility, gather some background information, and then our investigators are generally the first people to respond if a scene investigation is necessary.
Are they trained, are they medical doctors?
They are not doctors, but they are trained in death investigation.
Okay. And you have a staff of several different people that do that kind of work for you.
Yes,
And you said they will go to a crime scene if called by law enforcement?
yes,
And then ultimately, may you go to a crime scene if necessary?
yes.
Who decides whether or not you actually come out there?
The pathologist, sometimes the law enforcement might request the pathologist to respond, but there are certain cases in which the pathologist always goes. Anything that's suspicious, unexpected, or unusual, some infant deaths, and anything that's complex and maybe regards or needs oversight or additional hands. So if it's a multiple fatality traffic crash, we might also respond.
So you're on call 24/7, 365.
Yes, one of the pathologists in our office is always on call.
Okay. You had testified earlier that your main responsibility in a suspicious death is to determine cause and manner of death. Is that right?
Correct.
Can you explain those terms to the jury, please?
The cause of the death refers to why the person is dead. The manner of death refers to the circumstances surrounding that death. And there are 5 options when it comes to manner of death. It could be homicide, suicide, accident, natural, meaning only a medical condition contributed to the death, or undetermined, meaning there's not enough evidence to commit to a different manner of death. The cause of the death might be a myriad, there might be myriad reasons why a person is dead, but there are only 5 circumstances that explain how the person became dead.
Okay. Can you give us an example of a common cause and manner that you may see in your discipline?
The cause of death might be a gunshot wound to the head. The manner of death could be homicide, it could be suicide, or it could be an accident, depending on the investigation and the circumstances surrounding that death. Does that make sense?
Have you been called to scenes where you ultimately concluded the manner of death was homicide
Yes,
more than once?
yes,
And have you been called to scenes or investigated cases where you determined the manner of death to be suicide
yes.
multiple times?
Suicides less commonly, generally because the pathologist's investigation at the scene is not always necessary.
Whose investigation would you rely on then in a suicide if you don't go to the scene?
The investigator in our office and police.
Okay. Attorney Wolf, did you wish to voir dire the witness any further?
No, no, she's over.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask you, on the date of September 9th of 2022, did you respond to a scene in the town of Delafield off of Gulf Road for a report of a dead body that had been found in the woods?
Yes,
And did you physically go up there?
yes,
Did you inspect the body on scene?
yes.
Okay. And what were your observations of the body in the field?
Okay.
In the field, I mean the woods.
As I was walking towards where police indicated the body was, I noticed that we were walking through long grass towards a wooded area. On the other side of the wooded area was a golf course. As we approached the wooded area, walking through this long grass, I noticed there was a disposable scalpel to one side of where we were walking. We entered this wooded area where there was quite a lot of vegetation, trees, dead brush, grass, leaves, and there was a body lying on its back, partially clothed, not covered by anything other than some leaves. When I examined the body, I noticed that it appeared to be a woman. She was wearing a black t-shirt, a bra, jeans, and athletic shoes, as well as socks.
What was the condition of the body?
She was moderately decomposed and partially skeletonized.
What does that mean, partially skeletonized?
So she was decomposing, and in the process of decomposition, as the tissues break down, the bone is then exposed. So partially skeletonized refers to the fact that most of the soft tissue was gone from her face, and I could see portions of her skull.
What about her neck area?
Her neck was largely skeletonized. She really didn't have any soft tissue left in the neck area.
Did you observe any insect infestation?
Yes, there were some maggots, mostly pupa casings, which are the casings that surrounded the insect as it was developing. There were beetles, and I believe a butterfly.
Okay. Did you, you indicated that the body had showed signs of decomposition, correct?
Yes.
When does decomposition of a body start?
Decomposition starts immediately after death, so cessation or stopping of respiration, heartbeat. The cells die immediately. It takes a while for that change or cell death to become evident grossly, so by the naked eye, when looking at a body, but cell death starts immediately after the person is no longer alive.
To your knowledge, doctor, is there an odor unique to human beings that is emitted immediately upon death?
The body starts to decompose immediately. My understanding is that from a canine point of view, there are certain odors that are detectable very shortly after death by a dog. Humans, we can't smell that. We don't have that sensitive a sense of smell, so it's not immediately evident to us.
And is it, have there been identified volatile organic compounds unique to decomposing human remains as opposed to, say, decomposing animal remains?
Yes.
So if the odor can be detected, it can be specific to a human being versus any other animal or living creature.
Yes.
Okay. How does decomposition progress?
Well, cell death starts immediately. We notice at first because the cells lose energy, and that's why rigor mortis, which is stiffening of muscles, comes and then passes. We also see livor mortis, which is pooling of the blood to dependent areas. At about 36 hours, and that's not an exact estimate, depending on the ambient temperature, the temperature of the body habitus. There are a lot of variables that determine how quickly decomposition progresses. But at about 36 hours after death, we might see greening of the abdomen. Sorry, my mouth is very dry. And that greening of the abdomen slowly encompasses the whole body. And then we might see skin slippage or blistering as the skin decomposes. The body will bloat. We'll start to see insects and eventually skeletonization as that soft tissue disappears.
You mentioned environmental factors can play a role. Can you explain that, please?
So if a body is outside, decomposition will proceed more quickly, especially if it's in a warm environment or a hot environment. Decomposition will come on more quickly, be evident more quickly, and progress quite rapidly because we're also dealing with insects. In body indoors generally doesn't have the same type of insect activity that a body outside will have, because insects will easily find that body outside and contribute to the decomposition process. If the environment is moist, but there's still oxygen, again, decomposition proceeds quickly.
Ask Ms. Gussie to please put up Exhibit 19, which was previously testified and admitted with Detective LaFleur. Is that on your screen, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. And we did blur the head region of this person, but other than that, is this consistent with your recollection of the victim that you identified, or excuse me, examined in the woods on September 9th of 2022?
Yes.
Okay. Can you just, I guess, start near the mid-region and work your way up towards the head and identify for us things you're seeing that are important to your analysis and examination of the body?
If you start at the mid photo, you can see that the body is at least partially clothed in a black t-shirt. There's a black bra, which is actually pulled up a little bit above the level of the breasts. The skin that you can see of the abdomen, which is below the bra, is very yellow. It looks dry, it's very leathery in terms of quality and wrinkled. The arms are held in a flex position, so bent at the elbows with the hands near the head. You can see some defects to the chest region where the skin appears to be blackened. This is likely due to a result of insect activity because insects generally will consume soft tissue remains. So insect activity will leave holes in the body, the skin, as they consume the flesh, and that's likely what you're seeing here. One thing to note is that insect activity will start at or around orifices. So the lips, the eyes, the mouth, any orifice on the body that insects can get into, they will, and that includes wounds. So if there's any kind of purge fluid, which is fluid emitted after death, or blood, insects are going to be attracted to those areas, and decomposition will proceed more quickly in those areas.
Would that possibly explain why the face and neck were partially skeletonized and the chest area, abdomen was not?
Yes.
Okay. Did you pronounce cause of death at the scene?
I pronounced time of death.
Or, I'm sorry, time of death, yes. And do you remember what time that was?
I don't recall what time exactly.
Okay, we'll get to that in your report then. When you observed the position of this body, did you make any conclusions as to how the body may have come to this place and how long it had been at this resting spot?
It's difficult just based on position to draw conclusions. I think what was more important was that when we moved the body, there was vegetation death underneath the body. So there was no more living leaves. As you can see around the body, there are green leaves. Underneath the body is what we call a cadaver decomposition island. So where the body was in contact with the ground, there was no more vegetation growth or life. And that's due to leaching of decomposition fluid into the ground. It kills the vegetation because there are increased levels of calcium, potassium, phosphorus, things like that, that will kill the growth. The state of decomposition needed to be taken into consideration with the weather in the area, but I thought it had probably been at least a week to a week and a half, maybe a little bit longer, that this body had been in this area.
And did you draw any conclusions or have any impressions of the shirt being pulled up and the arms being up at or around her ears?
Conclusions could be just speculative because I don't know why the shirt was pulled up or the bra was pulled up, but it was ostensibly possible that she'd been dragged and dumped in this area or placed in this area.
Okay. If you could please put up 18. And 18 shows a little bit more of the mid-region and her thighs, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What was going on in the mid-region?
You can see she's wearing denim blue jeans. She has a belt, which is unbuckled. The jeans are unsnapped, and the zipper was a little bit down. You can still see the t-shirt and bra have not been disturbed. They're still pulled up. You can see her navel just above the waistline of the jeans.
Okay. And there's appears to be some white discoloration on the jeans. Do you know what that is?
There was some dirt on the jeans.
Okay. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Number 16, please. This is the lower portion of the body. And that's the position the legs were in?
Yes.
The body was almost fully stretched out, is that right?
Yes.
Have you seen other, well, strike that. The one leg is bent, but the other leg is almost straight down. Did you draw any conclusions from the position of the legs or the feet?
No.
Okay. What do you recall the weather to have been either on September 9th or around that time?
It had been very hot during the last week of August. It had also rained at least a couple of times. There was dirt in the folds of the jeans, especially around the ankles. So it looks like it had rained hard enough that some dirt from the ground had gotten onto the jeans. But it was hot and humid.
Like the mud splashed up onto the
Yes.
jeans from like a pelting rain?
Yes.
Okay. Did you perform an autopsy on, well, strike that, let me ask you, were you ever able to identify this person?
Yes.
On scene, could you identify this person?
No.
And how did you identify this person?
After we transported the body back to our office where we have a morgue, we then the next day commenced the examination. So based on the clothing she was wearing, and when we took the clothing off, she had 2 tattoos, and she was also wearing a ring, I believe on her right hand, one of her fingers. Based on the jewelry and the clothing and the 2 tattoos, we were able to make a presumptive identification
And what was that identification?
that this was Stephanie Pavlons.
Did you confirm that identification later?
Yes, identification was confirmed based on a surgical pin that was in the scaphoid bone of her right wrist. That was corroborated with Stephanie Pavlons' medical records. We also found a partial denture with her initials SP in the soft tissues near her neck.
And were you able to later confirm that through dental records?
Correct.
Okay. Before I move on, you mentioned the pin in her wrist. What was that about?
She had apparently had a wrist injury at some point, and it's not an uncommon injury, so a pin is placed in this small bone called the scaphoid to hold it in place and let it heal.
So as you were testifying, you were, I think, demonstrating where the
Oh,
scaphoid
yes.
bone
It's
is?
towards the inside of your wrist,
Okay, maybe just, if you could hold it up a little so the people in the back could see here.
right about there.
Okay. Up really near the base of the thumb.
Yes,
Okay, not down here in the
No.
middle area of your wrist or start of your forearm.
correct.
Okay. That may have been placed there for some type of medical treatment in the past.
Yes,
Okay. Did you perform an autopsy on Ms. Pavlon's body?
yes.
Have you performed autopsies in the past?
Yes.
How many times?
Over 2,000, probably about 2,300 autopsies in my career.
What's the process that you use?
Well, we start with an external examination whenever we're going to do an autopsy. We don't just jump to the Y incision and do an external examination. So the process of an autopsy first starts with making sure we have positive identification. Then we describe identifying features if they're there, like hair color, eye color, any scars, tattoos, and then we move on to injuries, medical interventions, things like that prior to doing the Y incision. At the point at which we're done with the external, we do the Y incision, which is the typical Y incision you may have seen on TV. We open the body and examine all of the internal organs. We look at the organs' relationships to one another, and then we eviscerate, which means we take out all of the organs, further dissect them, and examine each organ individually. We weigh all the major organs and do relatively detailed examinations on each organ. After we've taken out the body organs, then we move on to the head. We always take the brain out after we eviscerate the other organs. And after the brain is removed from the skull, then we do a neck dissection and take out the neck organs.
Is that the procedure you used in Ms. Pavlon's case?
Ms. Pavlons was somewhat different due to the state of decomposition. I did perform a Y incision. I took out the organs she had remaining, meaning the ones that were not absent due to decomposition. I examined those organs, and then for Ms. Pavlons, we needed to do an anthropological assessment. So we had to move on with that, which is another type of procedure we certainly don't do in everybody.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to show you exhibit marked 62.
Okay.
Dr. Sheil, can you please identify exhibit 62?
This is Stephanie Pavlons' autopsy report.
Is this a document that you authored?
Yes.
Okay. And if you would please turn to page 2. And if you need to refer to the report, you may. But if you remember this, that's fine too. So I want to start in the section about the clothing and the observations you made about her clothing, please. What do you remember about the clothing, the condition?
You know what? Let's take before we start with this,
Okay.
let's take a break, about 10
Sure.
minutes or so, okay? And then we'll come back after that, and you can step down as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Dr. Sheil, I was on page 2 of your autopsy protocol, exhibit 62, and asking you to begin describing the observations you noted about Ms. Pavlon's clothing.
She was clad in a short-sleeved black T-shirt, which was askew. The bottom hem was positioned above the breast, and the left sleeve was around the left hand. Black bra, which was pulled up above the breast. Blue denim jeans. There was a safety pin through each cuff of the jeans. She was wearing a black belt with a white metal buckle, which was unbuckled. Light blue underpants, green and gray socks, and gray, white, pink, and purple lace-up athletic shoes.
All right. And then if you could go down to the next section where you describe the general external examination and explain to us the process there, please.
Okay. So the first line just is an overall description of the body. So she was a decomposed, partially skeletonized, white female based on her hair and the texture of her hair and the color of the hair. The body weight was 46 pounds.
Okay, let me ask you a question there.
Sure.
That was her weight at autopsy, correct?
Correct.
After the body had decomposed?
Yes.
Okay, are you able to give us any indication as to her approximate size prior to her death?
No.
If I told you her driver's license listed a weight of 118 pounds, would that be consistent with what you observed?
Yes.
And did you note what size pants she was wearing in the clothing?
Yes.
What size pants?
Size 7 jeans.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, please.
The estimated body length was 64.5 inches, and that was estimated because her cervical spine, her cervical vertebrae, the vertebrae in her neck, were disarticulated, so I couldn't get an exact body length.
What does disarticulation mean, please?
Oh, they were separated because of decomposition.
So, in layperson's terms, what does that mean?
They were apart, so instead of being in a column and attached like they should have been with ligaments and tendons, they were separated.
Just the vertebrae?
The cervical vertebrae.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
She did not have any rigor mortis. And livor mortis, the blood pooling that I mentioned earlier, was not discernible, again, due to decomposition. She was, in terms of the decomposition, she was missing portions of soft tissue from her scalp, face, neck, and areas of the chest and back. And where the soft tissue was absent, the bones were exposed.
Okay.
Her skin was discolored and desiccated, meaning starting to dehydrate, with areas of sloughing or slippage, meaning the skin surface was coming off. And she had insect activity, including maggots, fly eggs, beetles, and those pupa casings.
Is that consistent with what you had described for us when we had Exhibit 19 up, or 18 showing her body?
It was difficult to see the insects in that photo.
Okay. But the rest, as far as the leathery skin
Yes.
and the discoloration, things like that?
Yes.
Okay. Did you take any action as it relates to the insects?
I did collect pupa casings and representative insects, including maggots.
For what purpose?
These were sent to a forensic entomologist at Purdue. The forensic entomologist can examine, speciate these insects or insect casings and give us an estimated range of time these insects would have appeared on the body.
Okay. When, during the autopsy, did you observe voluminous number of insects
Yes,
in various stages?
in various stages, yes.
Okay. All right. What about her head? What observations did you make during the general observation of the head area?
The scalp hair was largely sloughed, meaning it had already separated from the scalp, and what little soft tissue was left on the scalp, the hair was matted and tangled underneath the skull. The hair was light brown with gray roots, straight and about 10 centimeters in length. As far as other features, her eyes were absent due to decomposition. The nasal skeleton, what remained, was intact. Her teeth were natural, but in poor condition. There were several teeth remotely absent, and the ears were absent due to decomposition.
Okay. As for next page, page 3, the torso, what did you observe there?
The skin over the torso and extremities was dry, leathery, discolored tan brown to black. The cervical spine was exposed due to loss of soft tissues in the neck, and the cervical vertebrae were separated. In the right supraclavicular region, which is the area of the right shoulder, the hyoid bone and fragments of the neck cartilage were identified.
They're not supposed to be there, are they?
No.
Why were they there?
Partly due to decomposition, so they weren't in their original locations. It could have been some slippage, it could have been animal activity. I don't know exactly why they ended up right here.
Okay. What did you note about the hyoid bone?
The hyoid bone, which is a U-shaped bone that usually sits right under the chin and protects the cartilage of the upper airway. The hyoid bone was intact, so it did not have fractures.
And trachea?
The trachea was not identified.
Was it absent?
Yes.
Okay. So, no eyes, no ears, no trachea, no skin tissue to the nose?
Correct.
Okay. And all of that you believe caused by the insect activity?
Decomposition and insect activity.
Okay. All right. Did you observe, I'm a little bit lower on page 3 now, any evidence of injury to the body?
I observed no external trauma to the body or internal trauma. The caveat is that because she was missing portions of soft tissue, such as the neck, there were limitations to whether there were injuries there that I simply could not evaluate because she was missing those portions of tissue.
Like what kinds of things may you see?
If, say, she were fresh and didn't have decomposition, there could have been bruising to her skin over any area of her body that it would have been evident. Any kind of trauma, sharp force injuries, blunt force injuries,
Abrasions?
scrapes, yes.
Okay. And you couldn't see any of that anywhere on her body?
Correct.
Why not?
Decomposition changes the color of the skin, which you saw in those photographs, and it causes hardening or leathery texture to the skin, so it will obscure things like bruises. It might obscure abrasions, but if it's not there, it also can't be evaluated.
Okay. Did that hamper your ability to make ultimate conclusions in this case?
Yes,
Significantly?
yes,
Did you perform an internal examination on the body?
yes,
And this is when you described you do the Y incision and examine the internal organs?
yes,
There was a number of internal organs that were just missing, correct?
correct,
Absent entirely.
yes.
Did you have an understanding as to how that occurred?
Her abdominal cavity was full of maggots, so likely insects had consumed those organs.
And I think you note on page 4, no stomach, correct?
Correct,
No small intestine?
correct.
How about a colon?
No colon,
Appendix?
no appendix,
Kidneys?
no kidneys,
Bladder?
no bladder.
Uterus?
Uterus, fallopian tubes, and ovaries were all absent.
Spleen?
Spleen was not there.
Tongue?
Tongue was not identified as well.
How about the brain?
There was no brain tissue left in the skull.
Again, did that significantly hamper your ability to draw conclusions in this case?
Yes,
Are these the types of organs that you would ordinarily examine and perhaps analyze if necessary during the course of an autopsy?
yes,
Did you collect any toxicology samples?
I collected skeletal muscle as well as tissue from the area of her liver, and sent both of those specimens for toxicology.
Ideally, are those good sites to obtain samples from?
Generally, the liver is a better site than skeletal muscle if one has to use tissue for toxicology. Blood is the best specimen for toxicological analysis.
Why couldn't you send any blood?
Ms. Pavlons had no blood because of decomposition.
Okay. So in order for you to collect toxicology samples, you had to rely on the liver and the muscle.
Correct.
Again, are those ideal sources?
Not ideal.
Why not?
They're not as representative as blood would be. Like I said, liver would be a better specimen than skeletal muscle in some instances. In this case, for Ms. Pavlons, her liver was likely contaminated by insect detritus. So it's hard to know whether the levels in this specimen that was sent as liver are actually representative. For her, skeletal muscle is probably more reflective of the medication she had in her system.
You refer to insect detritus?
Detritus.
Could you spell that? I saw Deidre give me a look.
Detritus.
What is that?
Droppings.
Okay. Insect droppings.
Yes.
Okay. So was the quality of the sample that you obtained from the liver in Ms. Pavlon's case good quality?
No.
It was contaminated by these insect droppings.
Necessarily so. I mean, there were probably fragments of decomposing maggots too, because maggots have a finite life cycle. So it's hard to know how much was actually liver tissue and how much was insect tissue.
Okay. What about the muscle? You said skeletal muscle, correct?
Yes.
Where did you obtain that from? Do you remember?
Skeletal muscle was obtained from the thigh
Is that,
of quadriceps.
I'm sorry, is that generally a good source for toxicology testing?
It's not great, but it was more protected and less likely to be contaminated by insects or insect droppings than the liver tissue.
Okay. Sometime I've seen cases with you where you're able to collect toxicology samples from the vitreous fluid in the eyes, correct?
Correct.
Were you able to do that in this case?
No.
There was no other good source for you to get a sample for toxicology testing other than the liver and the skeletal muscle.
Correct.
Okay. Ultimately, were you able to reach a conclusion on cause of death?
The cause of death was undetermined, so no, I was not able to reach a conclusion as to why Stephanie was dead.
Okay. Were you able to reach a conclusion as to manner of death?
If cause of death is undetermined, then manner of death must be undetermined.
According to who?
That is the practice, and if you can't say whether the cause of death was a natural process, an intentional process, or an exogenous process perhaps inflicted by someone else, then you can't commit to any other cause or manner of death than undetermined. If you can't identify a cause, then you can't identify a manner.
Well, let me ask you something. Were you aware that Stephanie Pavlons had epilepsy?
Yes,
Is it possible she died from a seizure?
it's possible.
How are you not able to tell that, or why are you not able to tell that?
She had no brain left. I could not examine her brain for any features of epilepsy. She had no tongue, so I couldn't look for bite marks that might have been sustained during a seizure. The fact that she was found in the woods without any identification seems to suggest that it wasn't a seizure.
Okay. What about the position of the body? Did that tell you anything as to whether or not it was a seizure or not?
No,
You couldn't tell anything that way?
no,
Okay. So you said basically the fact that you cannot determine cause of death means you cannot determine cause of death, or they both must be undetermined.
if cause of death is undetermined, then manner of death has to be undetermined.
Okay. Did you review Ms. Pavlon's medical history?
Yes,
Did you review the police reports in this case?
yes,
Did you review, or were you given information by detectives as the case was investigated further?
yes,
Would you speak with them on occasion?
yes.
Aside from the limitations at the autopsy because of the decomposition, was there any piece of information that you felt was missing or unavailable to you that would have assisted you in this case?
Other than being there and knowing what happened to cause her death, I mean,
Yeah.
videography would be great, but I feel like we did everything we could, or I did everything I could and looked at every piece of information possible that was available to me, and I can't think of anything else that would have helped.
Was this a challenging case for you, Dr. Sheil?
Very.
One of your hardest cases ever?
Yes,
You spent a great deal of time thinking about it?
I did.
Okay. And I asked you earlier if you were able to determine, or if you were able to recall the time of death, when time of death was pronounced. Do you remember that?
Yes,
If I show you your investigator's report, would that refresh your memory in that regard?
yes,
Okay. Just for the witness only, I'm going to put up, it's not an exhibit, Judge, I'm just using it to refresh recollection. It's Ms. Barth's investigative report.
That's fine.
Okay. Is it on your screen?
yes, I just saw it.
Okay. What time did you pronounce time of death?
13:30 or 1:30 p.m.
Does it also note in Ms. Barth's report, or do you remember, I should ask first, do you remember when you got out to the scene, you examined the body, you make these detailed observations, correct?
Correct.
Are you taking notes, or is Ms. Barth taking notes, or?
Ms. Barth is taking notes.
Okay. And photographs of the body?
Correct.
About how long does it take you to do all this out there?
It depends on the case, but I believe I was probably out there for a bit longer because I was also collecting insect specimens.
Okay. And did you, at some point, the body is put into a body bag?
Correct.
Is that one of the last things you do?
Not always. For
Okay.
instance, for Ms. Pavlons, we needed to place her in a body bag, and then I needed to collect some more insects from underneath the body.
Do you remember what time it was when you left the scene?
I don't recall what time I left.
If you look at Ms. Barth's report, would that refresh your recollection?
Barth is Barth.
Yes, I'm sorry. Page 3, Ms. Gussie.
I probably left at about the same time as our investigator, which was an hour and 10 minutes after I pronounced.
Okay. Is there a difference between time of death being pronounced versus when did she actually die?
Yes.
Explain that to the jury, please.
The time of pronouncement is the legal date and time of death. So for purposes of the death certificate, we need to know what date she was actually pronounced dead. But the actual time of death is often different from the time of pronouncement. So for Ms. Pavlons, clearly she'd been deceased for a while when she was pronounced dead, which was her legal pronouncement. But her estimated date of death was different than her pronouncement time.
Were you able to reach a conclusion as to her estimated date of death?
Yes,
What factors did you rely on?
relied on the police investigation, some details they provided me regarding the last time she was known to be alive, and I believe her mother's account of when she had last seen Ms. Pavlons, and Ms. Pavlons was no longer seen after a particular date.
Was there anything forensically or scientifically that assisted you as well?
The body examination, the forensic entomology were both very helpful in estimating her date of death.
And what is your conclusion as to estimated date of death?
August 23rd, 2022.
I wanted to ask you, we've talked about, through your testimony, the unbuckled pants.
Yes.
Was there any evidence of a sexual assault of Ms. Pavlons?
There was not evidence that I could see, but she was decomposing and had insects in her genital regions, so that could have obscured trauma. Other than the fact that her pants were up, pulled up to her waist, there was no other evidence of a sexual assault.
Okay. That is something you would routinely look for,
Yes,
but you couldn't see anything.
correct.
Okay. Would it have been worth trying to collect samples to send to the crime lab?
No.
Okay. I also want to ask you, obviously you've told us you were not able to determine the cause of death, but can you help us understand, is there a way that Ms. Pavlons could have died that you just couldn't see from the autopsy? Specific to a homicide.
Specific to a homicide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, based on the autopsy findings, I could not rule out strangulation. I could not rule out a smothering. I could not rule out head trauma. I could not rule out sharp force injury to the neck. I mean, there are a lot of things I couldn't rule out, which is one of the reasons her cause of death is undetermined.
Okay. Tell us, you mentioned strangulation and also suffocation or, I'm sorry,
Suffocation or smothering.
smothering. What's the difference?
Suffocation can be accidental. Smothering is generally intentional.
Okay. How is it normally accomplished?
If we're talking about an adult,
A smothering, yes, of an adult, yes.
usually it's something held over the face to obstruct the nose and airways. Usually it's in a compromised individual, so perhaps unconscious already or debilitated by some other type of physical condition, but generally obstruction of the airways.
And how about strangulation?
Strangulation can be manual, so that's with the hands. It's compression of the neck vasculature, preventing blood flow to the brain. It can also be done with an implement, such as a piece of fabric or a garrote, and neither one necessarily results in fracture of the hyoid bone.
In the instance of a smothering of an adult, do you have an opinion as to about how long someone would have to block the nasal and mouth airways in order until death occurs in a smothering situation?
If the adult individual is not compromised and is able to fight, it's hard to say. If the individual, the victim, is compromised and for some reason unconscious, it'd be a matter of minutes.
What about strangulation?
Again, same thing. If the individual is fighting and is able to fight back, then it could take upwards of several minutes. If the individual is already compromised, it might not take very long. I'd say a minute or two max.
Okay. And the other things you had suggested, possibly a blow to the head or a sharp force instrument, things like that? how long would something like that take before death results?
Well, with a blow to the head, it would depend on what type of injury was inflicted. Is it a blood collection? Is it a vertebral artery dissection? It's hard to know without knowing the type of injury that ensued from the blow to the head. Sharp force injury depends on the vessel that was cut.
Okay. All right, those are all my questions. Thank you, Doctor.
Great, thank you. Cross-examination?
Thank you. Dr. Shields, you're employed by Waukesha County, correct?
Correct.
So you're a government employee, correct?
Yes.
And you're aware that the government is prosecuting or trying to prosecute Mr. Paul for a homicide, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I have to ask. You said because she didn't have an ID on her that you ruled out seizure. That was your testimony. What is the connection?
I believe that wasn't exactly the content of my testimony. I said she was found in a wooded area without any identification on her, so I didn't think a seizure was probably likely.
Is there some connection between having ID in your pocket or being in the woods that prohibits seizures?
No, it's the circumstances that are concerning.
And let's talk about circumstances. So you had a chance to look around the body in the wooded area, correct?
Correct.
And it was kind of a clearing area, correct?
It was sorry?
There was kind of a clearing. There weren't trees right up against her body, correct?
She wasn't pressed up against a tree, but there were trees over her, yes.
Okay, but the nearest tree trunk was probably there was a clearing there, correct? You saw the picture, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and there were no trees right up against her, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But you did see, you examined the ground in the area around her, correct?
Yes.
And there were no drag marks to where she was positioned, correct?
If there had been drag marks, they may have been obscured by the weather since she died.
But you saw absolutely no evidence of her being dragged to that location, correct?
I saw no evidence of her being dragged to that location.
Thank you. You also told, do you remember meeting Detective Fredericks at the scene of where Miss Pavlons was found? Do you remember going to the scene?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And do you remember initially telling him that you believed that she died at that location, correct?
I don't recall telling him that, no.
Okay, but you could have, correct?
I may have suggested that she could have died there or somewhere else.
Okay, but your initial impression was that she died at the scene, correct?
I don't recall that.
You also recall that you initially told him that she had been there anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks because it would be hard to make a conclusion, correct?
I don't recall that. I believe I said 2 weeks.
You, obviously the state, given their theory, said that you couldn't rule out homicide, you couldn't rule out stabbing or strangulation, things like that, correct?
Correct.
And you can't rule out a car accident in this case, can you?
Correct.
Okay. And you can't rule out an overdose?
Correct.
And you can't rule out some kind of medical or natural death, correct?
Correct.
You examined Ms. Pavlon's clothing, correct?
Yes.
And you obviously examined what you could of her organs and her soft tissue and her skeleton, correct?
Yes.
And in your examination, you didn't see, for example, you didn't see any marks on any of the bones that would indicate any kind of sharp object injury, correct?
Correct.
And you couldn't identify anything that you could say is a stab wound, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I'm obviously just an attorney, the hyoid bone was intact, correct?
Correct.
And you've seen strangulation cases or suffocation cases where that hyoid bone is broken, correct?
I have.
And that's, if a broken hyoid bone would be an indication, just an indication of a possible strangulation or suffocation, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but Ms. Pavlons was completely intact, correct?
Correct.
In looking at your resume, okay, your CV, you're familiar with it, correct?
Yes.
And you're a member of several organizations and associations, correct?
Yes.
In fact, you're a member of the American Academy of Forensic Science.
Correct.
And what is that organization?
The American Academy for Forensic Sciences is an organization to which many people who are involved in forensics belong. So odontologists, entomologists, pathologists, criminalistics, ballistics people, things like that. Every year they have a meeting for those who can make it to attend topics of discussion in particular fields having to do with forensic medicine.
Okay, and would you say that that's one of the top organizations in the country that would train and certify people who are supposed to give forensic testimony in criminal cases?
I don't know about training and boarding people who are supposed to give testimony, no.
Okay, are they one of the top national organizations that do training for people involved in the forensic sciences?
Yes.
And you believe that any standards or anything that might come through that organization are very important for people, for training and for training of people who are involved in forensic science?
Yes, it could be.
Do you get certified on a regular basis as a medical examiner?
No, every year I have to renew my Wisconsin medical license
Is there any training or testing that you go through as part of that process?
for the medical license.
Correct.
No.
Is there any testing that you go through on a regular basis for any of your certifications?
Yes.
Okay. And can you describe some of that testing that you go through?
Yes. Every 2 years I have to provide documentation that I've done so many hours of continuing medical education to maintain my certification through the American Board of Pathology. And every 10 years I get recertified in forensic pathology, pediatric pathology, anatomic and clinical pathology, which requires a board examination.
Okay. Does that board examination, do you examine bodies and try to determine cause of death and manner of death, those type of things?
No, it's a written examination.
Okay. Dr. Shields, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defense Exhibit 446.
Is that a photo?
Death certificates. Okay. Death certification summary. Okay, can you tell us what that is?
This is a death certification summary, which includes information germane to Stephanie Pavlons.
And when did you file that report?
I didn't file this report. It's a report that's generated from a query of our medical examiner database.
Okay. So that's not a report. Do you know when this report was generated?
I don't.
Okay. If there's a date of September 7th of 2023, would that at the bottom, is that likely when this report was generated?
Yes,
So that was approximately a year after Ms. Pavlon's death?
correct.
And that was after extensive, obviously, examination and investigation, correct?
Yes,
And on that document, you indicate the cause of death is undetermined, correct?
correct,
And on that document, you indicate manner of death is undetermined, correct?
correct.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Yes, just briefly. Dr. Sheil, you were asked on cross-examination that, I guess the implication was because you and I both work for Waukesha County, that you're biased in my favor. Do you remember that question? You're a government worker and the government is prosecuting Mr. Paul?
Yes,
Okay. You don't work for the district attorney's office?
no,
You don't work for the sheriff's office?
no,
You work with these entities, correct?
correct,
You are free to reach whatever opinion and conclusions you want, absent oversight from the DA's office or the sheriff's office, correct?
correct.
Did you do that in this case?
Yes,
Okay. You were asked about drag marks at the scene, correct?
yes,
And I assume Mr. Wolf was referring to drag marks on the ground. Is that what you understood him to be referring to?
that was my presumption, yes,
Okay, and you said they could have been obscured by conditions.
yes.
What did you mean by that?
Just that it had been a while since Ms. Pavlons had died. So if there had been drag marks on the ground, if there had been, they may have been obscured since it had been a period of time, including, weather conditions, rain, just the passage of time.
You could please put up 17. And if you could just zoom in a little bit on this one, please. A little bit out. The first click was good. And then more to the top of the photo, please. There we go. Okay. Dr. Sheil, I'm displaying for you exhibit number 17. Do you see that?
Yes,
Okay. You see an opening in the woods that could perhaps be a trail?
yes,
Was that there that day?
yes,
Okay. With the position of the arms being up near the head area of the body, is it possible that the body was dragged feet first?
it's possible.
If you could go to 18, please. Is it possible that the body was dragged with Ms. Pavlons facing down, like on her stomach as she was being dragged?
That's possible.
What do you base that on?
That could account for why her T-shirt and bra are rucked up, if you will, above her breasts.
And her arms are up above as well? Okay. Her right arm, was it kind of stuck in there?
Yes,
If she had been dragged face down on her stomach by her feet, could there be abrasions, cuts, whatever, to her head and face?
yes,
Would those have been observable to you?
no,
Same with the stomach, or the torso, I should say.
correct,
Could have been abrasions, but you just can't see them.
correct. There don't appear to be abrasions to the intact portion of her stomach that I can see here.
Okay. You were asked about the fact that her hyoid bone was intact, correct?
Yes,
And Mr. Wolf said that can be an indication of strangulation.
yes,
And that's a fact, isn't it?
yes,
That's something you look for.
yes,
Have you also seen cases where a person was strangled and the hyoid bone was not damaged, fractured in any way?
yes,
It remained intact even though strangulation occurred.
yes,
You've seen that personally.
yes,
Does the research and literature also support that?
yes.
All right, thank you, Doctor. Those are all my questions.
Recross?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'm going to have the witness look at Defense Exhibit 529. I'm asking that it be admitted.
I'm sorry, which one? I'm sorry.
529, which is a photograph from the surveillance.
Is there objection?
No.
Okay, 529 is admitted.
I'd ask that it be published.
All right.
Dr. Shields, you did observe the clothing that Ms. Pavlons was wearing on the date, when she was located in the woods, correct?
Correct.
Is the clothing in this picture that you see consistent with the shirt, at least the shirt and pants that she was wearing on that particular day?
Looks to be yes.
Okay, and that shirt, as you can see, is about down to about halfway down her thigh, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so, and that's the shirt that we see in the picture in the woods that's kind of pushed up, correct?
well, I don't know if it's the same shirt.
Okay, but it's
It resembles it, yes.
okay, and you can't say whether or you can't say how that shirt got pushed up, correct?
Correct.
Okay, you can't say whether it happened when Ms. Pavlons was having some type of seizure that she could be thrashing and that shirt could get pushed up, correct? You can't say that didn't happen.
That's correct.
And you can't say that animals didn't pull that shirt up, correct?
No,
Okay, and you can't say that she didn't pull her shirt up to use the woods as a restroom, correct?
I can't say that.
Okay, so you have no idea how her shirt got pulled up, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further, Your Honor.